Hi everyone, and welcome to Neely Hanukkah Sparks. My name is Talia Mayefsky. This is night number 6. Extra excited to be here sharing some words together because tonight is sponsored L'Ilui Nishmat, my grandmother, Shani Yenta Bat Beryl HaKohen. I was thinking, even though tonight is a special night, Friday night, where there's a lot of halachas related to Erev Shabbos, I actually wanted to focus on all the nights after women light Hanukkah candles, which is the special minhag for women to refrain from doing any sort of malacha on for a period of time after they light the Hanukkah candles. And I felt it was extra appropriate as I lounge on my couch with my Hanukkah blanket, that as I'm here refraining from any sort of other work aside from learning with you right here, that we talk about refraining from the idea of malacha after you light Hanukkah candles. I've kind of heard two different schools of thought, which is part of why I was interested in learning more about this myself, is on the one hand, you've got school number one of thought, women who say, you're telling me I just need to kick back, relax, and just sit back for a half hour. Sign me up, right? That's school number one. And school number two, people who say, often people who are child rearing, in their child rearing years, who say, you're telling me in addition to having dinner ready, setting up the Hanukkah candles, getting all the children ready, is that I need to not only be ready, but be so ready that I can just cool it and kick it back for half an hour. That sounds like a punishment to me. Right? Is this a reward? Is this a punishment? Where does it even come from? And there's a few different reasons that are quoted, but this is definitely a minhag that is across the board, that is quoted in the Shulchan Aruch, subsequently in the Mishnah Berurah, subsequently in many, many, many different poskim. This is something that is upheld for women. And the Beit Yosef gives one idea that he makes it very, very clear that you're refraining from halacha because you want to make sure that you don't have any sort of confusion, that you're using this light for anything other than appreciating and basking in the nace, in the miracle of Hanukkah. Beautiful idea. But the question kind of comes to, why would that relate to just women? It would seem that, men would also need to make sure. So there's another idea that's quoted, Af hein hayubo tohanis. This is an idea quoted about women specifically being included in Purim, in Hanukkah. There's several other occasions as well, where because women were also included and were specifically part of this Hanukkah miracle of the defeat over the Greeks and also the nace of the jug of oil, that they should also perhaps, be included with this special minhag. But the same question comes up. Why wouldn't men? Af means even, and as well, that women were also a part of it. So why wouldn't men need to? The only idea I could really see that really addressed why women did is I came across this lavush that says, don't get distracted from the nace, kind of like the Beit Yosef said, but whereas almost all men basically are lighting their own Hanukkah candles, many women, especially married women, may not light their own candles. And whereas the person who is physically saying the bracha, lighting the candles, right, reminding themselves of the nace in the text of the bracha, a woman who might not be might need that extra reminder to really remember the nace. And that was an idea that I thought was kind of interesting. But let's even kick back, aside from why we do it, the most oft-quoted idea is that for 30 minutes after you light the Hanukkah candles, that you should refrain from doing any sort of malacha. There are some opinions that will say that even until the candles finish burning, which for anyone who uses oil menorahs could be a very, very long time, but most often quoted, again, is that 30 minutes. So we're talking about 30 minutes, 8 different days of Hanukkah. We're talking about 4 precious hours every single year. That is kind of this magical interim time. What are you supposed to do during this time? And Rav Ari Leibowitz, actually, he has a 10-minute halacha on women refraining from malacha, and it's very interesting. And he quotes a lot of different ideas. Some people are so stringent to say you cannot do any household work, no sewing, no laundry, no tidying up. You have to just sit back and just be present in Hanukkah. There's a Ben Ish Chai, a posek, that's quoting that it's really not anything, but any kind of significant tircha, significant work, you can't do. You cannot, light the Hanukkah candles and decide that you want to start rearranging all your furniture around the house, and just kind of redesign it and get excited. You should really be there, not doing any sort of significant work, but household items like finishing up dinner and doing small things around the house, that really is fine. And then you have Rav Moshe, and Rav Moshe says that really you should refrain from doing any sort of big things, but that the malachot that you can do are very similar to Chol HaMoed. And I thought that was so interesting to quote it like Chol HaMoed, because Chol HaMoed, of Sukkot, of Pesach, you can really, you can theoretically be on your phone, you can be cooking. There's a lot of different things you're allowed to do, but what's the point of Chol HaMoed? You're not supposed to be doing any sort of malachot that don't serve the purpose of enhancing the Chag, that are addressing your needs of the actual Chag. And it reminded me in that moment that women refraining from work, it's not even so much about what you can't do. It's that all the things that you are supposed to be doing are supposed to be helping you enhance the Hanukkah spirit, the Hanukkah Chag that you're having right now. So that kind of made a little shift for me in my mind of, yes, you might not be supposed to be doing significant work, but it's incumbent upon women, and I would say, by extension, everyone, when they're thinking about Hanukkah, that those half hour after lighting candles should really be spent enhancing the Chag, being present in the Chag, looking at the candles, reading stories with children, singing, learning something, pulling out a sefer. And it reminds me of an ancient Yiddish phrase that my grandmother would be rolling around in her grave if she heard me pronouncing it this way. But die Stub geht nach der Frau, which is like the household goes according to the women. I've heard this idea very, very often. The idea that women kind of set the religious tone, the religious atmosphere in their home. And I thought that was very true, and an interesting point here that perhaps this is why the minhag for women not to do malacha might just apply to women. I don't know. This is Talia Mayefsky's suggestion that you can take or leave or have your own thoughts about. But I was thinking that, the same way that you're only supposed to be doing things that are going to enhance the level of the Chag, that perhaps the woman has this special responsibility to create the stillness, to create the intentionality, to create the special, kind of force that is in the home for her children, for her husband, for herself, if she's, has her own household. But that she kind of has this power to create the vibe around a post, lighting atmosphere in the home that is filled with connecting to the nace, the singing, the learning, whatever the different things are, but that whatever you do decide to do should be less about what you can't do and more about how to enhance that Hanukkah miracle. So, my plan also is to learn a little bit more halachas and also to really try and engage with my family members and hear about some of their very sweet Hanukkah memories of lighting Hanukkah candles. And in doing that, hopefully enhancing my household, my family's Hanukkah together during that half hour, and then hopefully beyond during this Hanukkah season.